have this beautiful house under construction right here. We are in the Texas Hill Country, and I've got a couple of tips to just tighten up construction just a little bit to make sure we get the longest, most durable, healthiest, best air-sealed house we possibly can. Today's build show, tips for this house under construction. Let's get going. Okay, we're inside the house right now. I've got my son Will with me. Hey Will, what are we doing first here?
First step we're going to do here is cut off this almost foam that's in between the concrete and the framing. So we're going to cut all this off with a razor blade.
Anything that's sticking out, that's called sill sealer, Will. And the idea is the concrete is porous and could soak up some water if it rained, and we don't want that water to be with capillary action coming into this framing. Even though this bottom plate is pressure treated, we want to make sure it doesn't get wet. So the sill sealer's main job is to make sure that capillary action doesn't wick water up. Secondarily though, that sill sealer is going to provide some air and bug sealing. And what are we going to do instead to kind of give a belt and suspenders here?
The next thing we're going to do is use this Lexo, and we're going to cut off at a 45-degree angle this tip. Yep. A big part of the tip.
That's right.
And then we're going to throw it in a caulk gun real quick.
Don't forget you got to pierce the tube because it's got a foil on there. So this thing is the piercer.
Okay, cool. Pierce that tube.
Yeah, that allows the product to come out.
Throw it in this gun. And then we got a big bead there.
Yep. Okay, now show us how it works.
And then we're going to really stick it in there and drag the tip along the concrete. We're just going to pipe it in there, a big bead of it.
Yeah, we want a big bead. Don't be shy here. You could use other products as well. We like Lexel because it sticks really well to concrete and wood. It sticks to just about everything, really. But this is a really perfect product for this. This house will probably end up using maybe 3 cases or so to go on the entire perimeter. And Will and Samuel and JG on the team are going to go ahead and do the whole house, so we'll let them get going. But that's tip number 1.
Finish up the Lexel on this house. I used about 3.5 cases, but I put it on real thick, so I think you could have done away with 3. Also, this house has a big garage and a big guest house or carriage house, but yeah, it was pretty easy to do. Just make sure when you do it that you sweep away your area and you cut back any foam that's in there. But yeah, that's how it looks. Alright, tip number 2, guys, is make sure when you're putting on the zip system tape, see how there's a flap right here? The builder here did not roll his tape out. So make sure you pick up one of these zip system tape rollers that we have right here. It's very simple. Just roll your tape out to get that extra stick on the corners.
In fairness, we don't know for sure if it's been rolled. They may have used a non-zip system roller that doesn't leave the Z's. But since we've got some manpower on the job, we're just going to go ahead and re-roll all the tape wherever we can reach it as well. Good job, Will. If you look at kind of the shadow on this right here, it's really hard to tell whether it's been rolled or not. But go ahead and mark right here, and let's see if we can show people the Z that it leaves. There you go. See that?
There's little indentions right here.
Can you see that Z that's on there? And show us the Z that's on the roller. See this little...
Yeah, focus.
It's hard to focus on there. There you go. Can you see that Z that's on there? That's leaving a Z on here as Will's rolling it. And that means that it's been rolled. That's a good thing. That's what we like to see. Just gives extra assurance. It's one of the things I like about the zip system is that we can see if the details have been done correctly. Alright, let's go to tip number 3. Okay, tip number 3, where the framing meets the foundation on the inside, we've already sealed it with a bead of Lexel. On the outside, we want to do the same thing. If water were to run down the sheathing, we've got some bare wood showing right here that's vulnerable. We also don't want ants or bugs crawling up on the outside. So any sill sealer we see that's sticking out, we're just going to cut that off. Just get that out of the way. Next, we're gonna run a bead of tape. Now this is gonna be covered with rock. You can see the stone ledge or rock ledge, but we still like to keep our work nice and neat and tidy. So we're gonna roll out some tape here, and we're gonna come up about 3-4 inches, something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. We'd like to cover over the nail holes though that are down there. Okay, and then we're going to use this right here. This is Zip System Liquid Flash. You can get it in a bunch of different options. This happens to be a sausage pack, which goes in this sausage gun. We just drop it in. And we're going to use our knife to puncture it at the top right here. Just put a couple punctures in there. The product will come out. Now I'm going to get my nozzle on, and I do need to cut the tip on this. Okay, here's the fun part right here. All we're going to do is just run a big S shape on here. And just like on the inside, where we ran that bead, we're also going to run a bead right here. See that? So you can kind of see there's actually a gap between the foundation and the framing right here. We're going to push the liquid flash into that gap as much as we can, all the way across here. And then I'm also going to run a little bit on the concrete, and you'll see why in a second, because I'm going to connect all these. All these beads are going to get run out with a Bondo scraper, and then I'm going to let these fine workmen do the rest of the house after I show them this section. This is just a Bondo scraper. You can see when the material dries, it just flakes right off. But all we're going to do is just swipe it down, just like that. And then we're going to run this into that corner too. See how I'm kind of putting more pressure here than at the front. And then we're going to come back and just make sure that I got it up into that corner and I protected the bottom side of the Zip System. It's going to take a minute to do the whole house. But if a couple of teen and early 20s boys can do this with just a couple cases of this, surely you could, or your builder could as well. And this is going to provide a lot of durability. All right, let's keep going.
All right, guys, we're almost done here. I just wanted to show y'all before we leave what exactly we're doing here. We're just making sure we get a line of Zip System liquid flashing in there, and just making sure that no water gets in between the Zip System wood and the foundation here. So what we're doing is we're pretty much just piping it in and scraping it along. We put tape on here just so it looks good for the client, but that's not required. But it just leaves those perfect lines, which is exactly what we want. But again, we're just piping it in there and spreading it out and making this wall look really good. Alright everyone, we're all done with this house back here. We used 3 cases of Lexel, the clear, for lack of better words, caulking inside, and then we used 3 boxes of the Zip System liquid flashing. Make sure to follow us on TikTok or Instagram, otherwise we'll see you next time on The Build Show.